Want our oil independence back again? For sure there would have been real peace in Mideast. We tried to warn ya, Joe Biden's a chump. That's why we need to. That's why we have to. That's why we've got to bring back Trump. Well, we did it, folks. We did it, right, Al? We won, and thank goodness we won. And you know, I never take a victory lap. I never brag. And I'm very proud to say the word. I very rarely use the word I, but Al RassooIi, who's going to be coming on momentarily, he'll vouch for me. I predicted the landslide before the election. In fact, I predicted it 4 years ago, right after Trump lost the election. And thank goodness I was right about that, because without having won this election, I mean, look, Al, I don't know if you know what just happened, but they just made a recommendation to go ahead and prosecute Liz Cheney. And a lot of things are going to be cleared up. There's going to be a lot of battles to fight. There wouldn't have been any battles had we lost this election. But thank goodness we did. Let me tell you about our illustrious guest. And I don't throw that term around. He truly is. His nickname is IQ. I'm talking about Al RassooIi. He's an Iraqi exile, Arabic speaker. He's a scholar and author. He's eager to debate any imam or infidel, and he's ready to answer any question. Let me just show you the book that he wrote here. And he did that book when it was quite dangerous to do so. It probably still is dangerous, but he was way ahead of the curve. He asserts that the Quran is not a holy book, but rather that for the last 1,400 years, it's been a roadmap to total war with all non-Muslims on planet Earth and Western civilization in particular. And frankly, if we don't get on board with understanding that we're not going against the religion, we're all going to have our ass in a basket. Europe is virtually there already. And if we don't wake up, same thing will happen to us. IQ Al RassooIi, he's among the foremost authorities in the world on the subject of Islam. He's the author of his monumental trilogy, Lifting the Veil, The True Faces of Muhammad and Islam. You can reach him at alrassooli at gmail.com. That's ALRASSOOLI, Al RassooIi at gmail.com. Al, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to be with you.
Actually, I'm not having it. Ladies and gentlemen, Al is my co-host. In fact, Al RassooIi and I and Don Mazzella, we frequently are contributors on the Jiggy Jaguar Show. I forgot to say, this is really the Jiggy Jaguar Show. This is Roger Homefield of the Joe Citizen Show, but I'm filling in for Jiggy Jaguar. And so it's my pleasure to be back with Al RassooIi. And Al, as I was crying on your shoulder before the show here, I'm just shocked by a couple of things that have happened. Well, one good thing that's happened, like I said, is that Liz Cheney's being recommended for prosecution, or whatever the actual terms are. I don't know, but thank goodness things are really turning around. If we didn't win this election, Al, nobody would have learned anything. Anyway, what are your first comments? I want to talk about this MEMRI article that I mentioned to you, MEMRI, the Middle East Media Research Institute. What they published is pretty shocking.
Nothing is shocking about Islam. Look, MEMRI has got maybe 10,000 videos of Muslims defaming every human being on the planet who's not a Muslim. Mm-hmm. The tragedy is that most people are too stupid to understand that what the Muslims are trying to do is to destroy us. And they don't want to believe that it's possible, but they are. So
they're stupid and afraid.
Well, I'm afraid of what? How can you be afraid? We are 80% of humanity, they are 20% of humanity. Why are we afraid? Tell me, please.
Hey, you know, I love you. You're spot on. I consider you an absolute brother in this, and we hit it off. Oh, what was it, 2 years ago already that I've been on Jiggy's show, and I was the first guy you ever heard talk about Sharia compliant. Anyway, we're on the same page. Let me tell the folks though what they came up with. This is pretty shocking, ladies and gentlemen. In his November 22nd, 2024, in other words, not too long ago, in this Imam's Friday sermon at the Kansas City Islamic Center, That's in America, ladies and gentlemen. Imam Muhammad Tarif said, quote, "O Allah, annihilate the criminal Zionists. O Allah, count them, kill them one by one, and do not spare a single one of them. O Allah, allow us to torment them with our own hands." Now, Memory goes on to say that this message was uploaded on YouTube channel of the Kansas City Islamic Center, and that these Islamics that are exposed in this Florida Family Association email alert, they're not only espousing hate and violence to their local congregations, but they're also posting their hate and violence on social media to inspire like-minded jihadists across America. So what do you think of that, Al? And I was thinking that we should give this place a call, see if the imam would like to come on and maybe explain himself. You think that's a good idea?
Well, there's nothing. Why should he explain himself?
Well, I want to find out if I think that the Jews have a right to be in Israel, if he'd like to kill me.
No, they have no right in Islam.
Well, I know, but I'd like to.
Wait a minute. But you see, all the time where people are mentioning Jews and Jews and Jews, Islam is against every human being on the planet who is not a Muslim.
Right.
Islam has been at war with non-Muslims for 1,400 years.
Isn't that how long they've existed? That's been their entire existence, correct?
Yes. When Muhammad declared war against humanity, what he did 1,400 years ago, he said, we Muslims are superior to every other human being who's not a Muslim. And we Muslims who live in Dar al-Islam have to be at war with the people who are not Muslims who live in Dar al-Harb. Now, Dar al-Islam, that means the territory of the Muslims. Dar al-Harb is the territory of war. Are you listening?
Oh, sure.
Territory of war, which means the territory of the non-Muslims, where the Muslims have every right to subjugate, murder, slaughter, plunder, rape, and enslave humanity. And they've been doing it for 1,400 years. How many black people in America, especially black Americans who converted to Islam, do you know that 99% of them do not even know how their ancestors got to America? By the way, do you know how they got to America?
Yeah, the Transatlantic Trade Commission said 4% of all the slaves that came over the Atlantic ended up in the south of the United States.
Correct. But who got them out of Africa?
Go ahead.
Nobody mentions it. Arabs and Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
Arabs and Muslims. Which Muslims? Muslim blacks in Africa who were converted to Islam.
And what about slaves today, Al? Tell our public about the slavery that goes on today from Muslims.
Of course, it continues today in Africa, by the way. It continues in Libya, in Somalia, in Mali, in Chad, in Mauritania. It continues. In Arabic, by the way, in Arabic, a black person is not called Aswad. Aswad is the color black. A black person in Arabic is called derogatory abd. Abd means slave. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, Al, come on, you're preaching to the choir with me. But our public needs to understand that we're not bashing religion. Al is trying to explain. Everybody's freaking out about slavery that happened hundreds of years ago. What about the slavery that's happening today? Right, Al?
Correct. But the point is this. For the slaves who ended up alive and were sold to the Americas, and when I say the Americas, that means the Caribbean, North America, and South America. 14 million were sold into slavery to North and South America. But for 14 million to survive, 140 million black people were slaughtered. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, that's on one hand. The other hand, another 25 to 30 million were slaughtered to take them to Asia, to Africa, to India, to Indonesia, to Iraq, to Algeria, to everywhere in the Muslim world. The Arabs, when they conquered these countries, especially the black Africa, they treated them with contempt, and they still treat them with contempt. Even today, a black man is called abd in the Arabic language, even today. But they use the black Americans as a figment of imagination for the Western mind. Oh, we are all inclusive. They're not all inclusive. They are not all inclusive. But
Well,
the most important thing that Americans have got to understand is this: Muslims in America, it is impossible, and I repeat the word impossible, for any Sharia compliant Muslim to be both a good Muslim and a loyal citizen among non-Muslims. It is impossible for an American black Muslim or any Muslim in America
mhm.
to be both a loyal citizen and integrate and assimilate. It's impossible.
And we both agree, Al, that Sharia law should be outlawed in the United States of America. Could you please tell our public why Sharia law should be outlawed in America?
Because Sharia law, every article of Sharia law is the nemesis of every article in the American Constitution.
And it's not coexistent, is it?
Well, look, under Sharia law, every female of the human species is treated one little step up the ladder of evolution than domestic animals. That's item number one. Under Sharia Islam, no other religion is allowed to exist as equal to Islam. Number three, every non-Muslim will have to pay a penalty called jizya to the Muslims for not accepting Islam. And they have to pay it in humiliation and degradation. And they've been doing it for the last 1400 years against against Jews, Christians, Buddhists, and Hindus. By
He's
the
talking
way,
about the jizya tax, where if you're a non-Muslim in a Muslim country and they are kind enough to let you live, then they charge you a jizya tax that could be paid.
yes, it's a penalty,
Mhm.
not a tax. It's a penalty. The word is penalty, not tax.
Mhm.
Tax is an economic point. Penalty is a derogatory one. Now, by the way, in India, they slaughtered 110 million Hindus. 110 million Hindus. The mountains in India, anybody can Google it, by the way. Google Hindu Kush. If you Google Hindu Kush, it says mountains in the Himalayas.
Mhm.
What the Hindu Kush means? The slaughter of the Hindus. It is from these people that what we call them, they ended up in Romania. They're actually originally from India. And they migrated to Western Europe to escape the Islam. But there you go. The important thing is this: it is impossible, and I repeat it, impossible for any Muslim to be both a loyal citizen to non-Muslims as well as being a good Muslim.
And the reason Al can say that, the reason he can say that, ladies and gentlemen, is because a good Muslim is Sharia compliant. In other words, what Al is saying, if they're not Sharia compliant, they're not really Muslims. But if they
Correct.
are Sharia compliant, then they are a bona fide Muslim. And if they're Sharia compliant, look, Al, the women in Afghanistan can't even talk out loud anymore, right? We pulled out. Do our audiences realize that the women can't even speak out loud to each other and be heard? And where are all the women's groups? Where are the women's groups? I get all this propaganda from feminist news on Facebook, all these clowns. Meanwhile, the women are virtual slaves in Afghanistan. Are they not, Al?
And you're talking about 750 million of them. 750 million of them.
It's a
So we're
crime.
not talking about peanut.
Mhm,
Okay?
mhm. All right, Al, I want to see if we can get these folks on the phone. I don't have a whole lot of faith that we will, but let's see what happens here. Let's just give it a shot. I'm dialing it now. 81. The number, by the way, is 913-249-8100.
Alaikum.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm calling from the Joe Citizen Show. I'm an acquaintance of Nizar Hamzy, the former director of care in Florida, and I was wondering if we could speak to Imam Muhammad Tarif.
Brother, he's not a full-time imam. He's like a rotational person that comes and gives khutbah. I can give you his number.
Is he there now?
No, he's not there. No, this is a new masjid and it hasn't really been fully established, but he just comes in on Fridays, just like other volunteers, and they give khutbah at our masjids.
Right. Well, I was going to give him a chance to clarify some news that's gotten out regarding a sermon he did on November 22nd. It sounded like he was calling for the murder of Americans that believed in Zionism. Do you folks have any comment or statement about that?
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Joe Citizen Show.
Joe Citizen
That's
Show.
Right, the Joe Citizen Show.
I don't know what that is.
Well, that's okay. I don't know what you are either. But nonetheless, this was in print, and we're just calling to see, like I say, I'm an acquaintance of Nizar Hamzy. You can check me out with him if you like. He knows who I am. He invited me to play golf with him. So we knew each other. But I'm calling to see if he wants to clarify anything that he said, because it could be taken as a threat to fellow Americans.
Like I said, I have no idea who you are, what your intentions are.
Well, my intentions are the truth. That's all. My intentions are to find out what those comments were about.
Anything about you? I don't know if you're telling what the truth is, what your agenda is, or anything about you, my brother.
The agenda is to find out why he said, "Oh Allah, annihilate the criminal Zionists."
I have no idea. Like I said.
Are you saying he didn't say those things? It's in print. It's documented.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
Well, I don't believe you.
I'm trying to understand what is it that you're asking. What did he say?
He said, quote, "Oh Allah, annihilate the criminal Zionists. Oh Allah, count them, kill them one by one, and do not spare a single one of them. Oh Allah, allow us to torment them with our own hands." And it was uploaded on the YouTube channel of the Kansas City Islamic Center, which is who I just called.
Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't speak Arabic. RassooIi, do you speak Arabic?
Don't misquote things.
Oh.
Don't come up with things that he did not say.
Oh, he did not say.
Say that. Anybody that wants to look at that video, they're free to go. Don't misquote something. Don't interpret something that you don't even speak that language. Don't interpret it wrong.
I know the language well enough to know what these words mean.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
I just asked you. You said you don't. So the truth is,
because I don't speak Arabic, what he said.
Listening, you just lied to them right
now. No, you're lying. It's called taqiyya.
No, you don't.
What you're doing, you are full of taqiyya, sir. You are full of taqiyya.
You need to be sincere about this, because the Creator is watching you when you lie and misquote things.
Ooh.
And do things that you're trying to harm something that is wrong.
No, I'm trying to clarify why he threatened.
Don't do that, okay?
So your stance is that he never said these things.
That you will be judged based on everything you do.
Judged by who?
You will be judged in the life after.
By who?
By your Creator.
And who's that?
Whatever Creator you believe in.
Well, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is what he said in his sermon on November 22nd, and it is documented.
My brother, is more important than this life. You need to understand that.
Look, this is what he said on November 22nd. Are you denying he made those comments?
Yes, I am, because you're misquoting it.
You don't
speak Arabic, my friend.
I don't have to speak Arabic.
Okay, well then don't sit there and make a phone call like that, or make a statement that is completely false.
Well, it's not false. It was documented.
I'm just telling you, it's a false statement.
Well,
you're making a false statement, and then you're trying to tell it that it is the truth. It's not the truth.
So you're not aware that this is in print?
Like I said, you don't speak Arabic.
So because I don't speak Arabic, that means anybody can say anything they want. And if you don't speak Arabic, you can just threaten everybody and say, "Oh, well, you don't speak Arabic."
If you're not gonna tell me, and you're not gonna say that he said it in English, he's saying lied to me, okay?
This is a direct quote, and you don't know anything about it. This is the first time you're hearing about
You're
this.
misquoting it. You're telling me a wrong quote.
Well, how am I misquoting? Tell me how I'm misquoting it.
Well, tell me. I don't have the video in front of me. You listen to it.
Well, wait a second. You guys uploaded the video yourselves for the Kansas City Islamic Center.
It's not quoted in English, is it?
Oh, it's not quoted in English.
Okay.
What I have is in English. The Florida Family Association.
You're wasting my time. Go get it.
Wasting your time, huh? Well, we're going to waste a lot more of your time, buddy, if you keep coming out with comments like that. I don't care if it's in Swahili or from Mars. This is what he said. This is what's documented, and it's on your own YouTube video. All right, he hung up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm surprised it lasted that long, actually. Are you, Al?
I'm surprised. He continued with you. You wasted your time. I'll tell you why you wasted
We're not
your
wasting my time because we're exposing this to our audience.
You haven't exposed anything. All he said to you, do you speak Arabic? No. But you should have told him, he said it in Arabic, it was translated. A sermon in a mosque cannot be done in English. It's got to be done in Arabic.
So what difference does it make which language it was done? That's what it said.
It was done in Arabic. Obviously, it was done in
Yeah,
Arabic.
so they can
was
say, I'm going to kill you, and it's okay if they say it in Arabic?
He doesn't give a damn what you're thinking.
I know he doesn't give a damn. That's why we got to, like, stick it where the sun don't shine at this point. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the translation was. So they can play all the semantics and games and bullshit that they've been doing for 1,400 years, actually. But in America, we're so gullible. It's called taqiyya. And with taqiyya, you can lie, you can kill, you can rape, you can maim, you can do anything you want. You can put babies in ovens, as long as it advances Islam, advances Sharia law. Am I saying anything incorrect, Al?
Absolutely correct. But that's where you are. They've been doing it for 1,400 years. And even Pope Francis embraces Islam more than he embraces Christianity. Can you believe that?
Well, something very strange is going on with that Pope and has been for quite a while. I can't venture to go into that. But yeah, that's a total disorder.
Wait.
Look at England, right? With Starmer, the head of England, and Trudeau. They're going to arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he goes to their countries. I mean, how ass backwards can they have it, Al?
Because they are under the thumb of Islam. That's what's happening. The name Muhammad is the most popular name in France, the most popular name in America, in England, the most popular name in Belgium. What do you expect?
And it's going to be the most popular name in America too, if we don't pull our thumbs out of our butts and wake up to what's happening.
Absolutely.
Al, would you say something to the American audience and explain that? Al is out of the country. He doesn't live in the United States, but he sees what's happening around the world. He's an expert on this. Could you please, I know I get excited. Al, you're a bit more measured. Could you please explain to the American public what they need to do and what's coming if they don't?
Look, every mosque in America, every mosque anywhere in the world, in fact, the sermon is given from the Quran. On Friday, the imam, which means the high priest of the mosque, like a priest of a church, gives a sermon to the audience. What does he tell the audience? He tells them what the Quran says. And what does the Quran tell the Muslims? That they are superior to every human being on the planet who's not a Muslim, and that they are entitled to rape, murder, plunder, kill, and enslave non-Muslims. That's it. That's Sharia.
Pretty simple, folks. It's pretty straight ahead. That shouldn't be hard to understand. MEMRI, which stands for Middle East Media Research Institute, and like Al said, they've done thousands of videos. They published the article, and they say that that these Islamists, they're not only espousing hate and violence to their local congregations, but they're also posting their hate and violence on the social media to inspire like-minded jihadists across America. And they say that they go on to say the probability and size of a potential terror attack on U.S. soil has dramatically increased thanks to Biden's illegal invasion on the southern border. Therefore, they continue, Americans must do all they can do to emphasize the heightened need to law enforcement that these jihadist nutcases must be watched 24/7. Now, all the Family Florida Association, their emails, alerts, they're being blocked, ladies and gentlemen. The email alerts from the Florida Family Association exposing this are being blocked by the Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security. So they're saying send your emails directly to homeland.security@dps.mo.gov. That's the Missouri Office of Homeland Security. Al, you think we should give a call to the Department of Homeland Security in Kansas City and see if they ask me what language it's in?
They don't give a damn.
Well, then let's give them a call and let them know that we do.
Okay, come on, give them a call.
Because we do give a damn. I don't give a damn, but they don't give a damn.
I know, but you keep forgetting Mayorkas is, who is Mayorkas? A traitor, a 100% certified traitor.
Sure,
he should have been put on trial for treason and executed, but nobody's doing it.
All right, here we go.
Office, Homeland Security. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hi, I'm calling you from the Joe Citizen Show, and I understand you're blocking emails from this Florida Family Association alerts about hatred that's been espoused most recently on November 22nd at the Kansas City Islamic Center by Imam Muhammad Tarif. And he basically is calling for the murder of people that are pro-Zionist. Now, I just spoke to one of them over there. And he said, well, if I don't speak Arabic, how can I know what I'm talking about? Obviously, it was translated. I have RassooIi on the phone, who's an expert on this. And he reminds me, yes, in the mosques, they're always in Arabic. But nonetheless, he's calling for the death of fellow Americans. He's calling for the death of anybody that supports Zionism. So, then I'm shocked to see that you're blocking the emails expressing this and simply asking you to put them on the terror watch list, which seems pretty reasonable to me. This is the Joe Citizen Show. You can get to me from joecitizenshow.com. I would love to hear from you because you are the Homeland Security. And after all, I presume that you are protecting my homeland, America. Have a nice day. Al, you know, I got to take Valium before I do these shows because it's so, but you know, this has been going on for a long time. And the Joe Citizen Show started back in 2010 when it started really in 2004 when I knocked on the door of a mosque and said, look, I just want to ask you some questions. They just cut off the head of Nick Berg. They cut his head off. And I said, look, I just want to know, George Bush said that you are friends and you're loyal and that you love America. I said, if you came here to join America and be part of the American experiment and you want to be one of us, we will welcome you with open arms. But if you came here with the preconception of hating Americans, hating Christians, hating Jews, then that's not immigration, that's invasion. And you can pack your Sharia and get out. So let's move on to the next wonderful piece of business that is equally as upsetting. And we've got so many things that we want to talk about, but this is pretty weighty stuff. This is from the New York Post, ladies and gentlemen. You can Google it. You can Google this from the New York Post. Last week, a so-called, quote, equity and justice conference. And whenever they use those words, beware, will you? A so-called equity and justice conference involving many of the country's most prestigious private schools devolved into a, quote, festival of Jew hate that had scared students leaving in tears. Speakers at last week's National Association of Independent Schools annual People of Color Conference accused Israel of, quote, ethnic cleansing and genocide and downplayed the October 7th Hamas attacks that killed 1,200 Israeli civilians. prompting some frightened kids to hide their Jewish stars as they left early. I'm going to interrupt myself. Let me just rhetorically say, I wonder if it might be in their interest to hire security, or if there were some vigilante groups to protect them. I'm not starting one. I'm not saying go out and do that. But at some point, the letters and phone calls they leave on deaf ears. Even the Homeland Security doesn't want the letters and emails. So what does that leave you? One of the conference speakers was Dr. Suzanne Barakat, a physician and activist on Islamophobia and social justice. There is no Islamophobia. They go out and they kill a bunch of people, and then they cry Islamophobia. Give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. Not to be outdone, NAIS, an organization of 1,300 independent schools, also held the event December 4th through 7th in Colorado, along with its New York Student Diversity Leadership Conference. Approximately 8,000 students and adults attended. Among the New York prep schools in attendance were the Brooklyn Friends School, Dalton, Brearley, Collegiate, Trinity, Fieldston, Riverdale Country School, and Horace Mann. A complete list of attendees was not immediately available. New York City parents fumed because they were given assurances that Jewish students would be welcomed, but called the conference a, quote, festival of hate pushed by the woke NAIS. It's all indoctrination for them to bring back to the school, said one New York City private school mom. Dr. Suzanne Barakat, the physician and activist, claimed that Israel was, quote, founded on ethnocentric superiority and an inherently systematically racist framework, according to transcripts obtained by the Post. The Mideast conflict, she said, stemmed from a strain of Zionism. Critics said she made support of the Jewish state sound like a disease. Barakat, she recommended a book by author Ta-Nehisi Coates, who once said he didn't know if he would have been, quote, strong enough to not join the October 7th massacre. I guess maybe he regrets not having put a baby in an oven. Now, Milken Community Schools, they're the good guys. The head of the school, Sarah Schulkind, Milken Community Schools, bravo for them. She denounced the apparent Jew hate and ignorance on display at the conference. The only mention of Hamas, she said, was that they led a, quote, unprecedented assault. She said most horrifying is that the thousands of educators that were in the room teach at the nation's most elite schools. They stood and cheered. Al, take it away.
Take it away. There's nothing to take away, for God's sake. It's a Jew.
Well, come on, comment on that.
Well, what is there to comment? It's Jew hatred. Barakat is an Arab. She's a Muslim. And she talks about ethnic cleansing. If I were there, for example, I would have asked her, where are the Jews of Iraq? Where are the Jews of Lebanon? Where are the Jews of Syria? Where are the Christians of Syria? Where are the Christians of Iraq? Where are the Christians of North Africa? And shut her up forever. But nobody is there to do that.
No, exactly. Nobody's there.
There's nobody in America to do. For example, I'll give you a simple example. Ilhan Omar is she's not a radical Muslim. There is no such thing as a radical Muslim. She's a Sharia compliant Muslim. She wears the hijab to tell the American people, I'm a Muslimah. I'm a female Muslim. In her own country, they would rape her and then stone her to death for adultery. Now, since she is a Muslim, how is she possible to be in the Congress in America? Her loyalty is to the Quran. She swore not on the Bible. She can't swear on the Bible. She swore on the Quran. Every Muslim swears on the Quran. When they swear on the Quran, what are they swearing by? They're swearing in support of Sharia. They're swearing in support of hatred of every American who's not a Muslim. They're swearing of hatred of every human being who's not a Muslim. That's what they're swearing. And yet, 535 people in Congress, not a pipsqueak from anybody.
Right. And she's
Not a pipsqueak.
She's a cultural terrorist,
No,
a cultural terrorist, ladies and
correct.
gentlemen. Meaning
Doesn't matter
she
how
doesn't
you
swing
name
the
her.
sword.
Every Muslim is a cultural jihadi.
Right.
Every single Muslim is a cultural jihadi. You
It could be
have.
by the sword or the pen. And
That's
in
it.
Ilhan Omar's case, she does it by the pen and her mouth. She's not running around with a sword, but it's for the same end. Now, I know you wanted to talk to the folks about Bibi and Trump. And I told you I had a special thing I wanted to talk about towards the end of the show. But go ahead. What is it? What is it you want to tell our folks?
Two actors have made incalculable changes in the world in the last 2 years, Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. And for posterity's sake, IQ RassooIi, I'm going to predict the following. Trump's MAGA is now a global movement. I want you to hear every word I'm telling you. Many other nationalities in Europe, Middle East, North and South America, and Asia are literally mesmerized in awe and admiration at how Trump, against all odds, overcame his opponents by uniting a great segment of Americans, irrespective of race, color, ethnicity, financial, or education status, into a solidly unified movement to MAGA America, a movement by the people and for the people of America. They want the same for themselves. Trumpism is like a religious movement whose adherents are looking for salvation, a better and more peaceful and prosperous future than the dismal, disgustingly divisive, and totally joyless future of the woke left. All those who support Trumpism are the happiest Americans in almost 12 years. A
Mhm.
great number of American CEOs are joining the energetic, happy, and triumphant Trump salsa, looking forward to less restrictions and more opportunities to diversity, innovation, and success. Even foreign CEOs are betting hundreds of billions of dollars in investment in the USA, expecting great rewards as they will get. The legacy media is dead, but is still not realizing this reality. They are now irrelevant compared to the independent media. So are the Democrats, in toto, reflexively kicking in their death throes. Trump eviscerated both of them and more. Under Trump, Elon Musk and Vivek, they will save trillions in less than 5 years because the waste is beyond belief
Mhm.
and can and will be cut. All those who oppose his agenda should be given the choice of put up or shut the F up. Mark my words, Trump's next 4 years will be described as the American Golden Age. In Asia, Bibi Netanyahu's tiny Israel, also against all odds, utterly degraded in about 1 year the military might of Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Assad in Syria, and by extension, the Ayatollahs of Iran, who are now, more than ever before, in the crosshairs of Israel's mighty air force to take their nuclear assets out once and for all, as well as to liberate the oppressed Iranian people. The Druze of Syria, people in America know nothing about this subject. The Druze are people who live near the borders of Israel. The Druze of Syria, who are neither Muslim nor Arabs, would rather be under the rule and protection of Israel than those of the Sunni terrorist rebels who are taking over Syria. Tragically, the Christians of Syria have no champions and will be at the mercy of Islam Sharia. Israel will offer the Druze protection without having them as citizens of Israel. They can govern themselves with their borders protected by their own armed forces under the command and assistance of the IDF. No one on earth has the right to force them to go under the terrorist Sunni regime, which is supported by Turkey. And Turkey now is replacing Iran as the malevolent leader of the Middle East. So in a nutshell, these two men have changed actually history. There's no question about it. And we'll see what happens in the next few months. Under
Mm.
Trump, there is no doubt that Iran's nuclear facilities will be destroyed. No doubt, none.
And Bibi, for 35 years, every single day, whether he's been prime minister or not, he's had different positions. He's been prime minister a couple of times, but every day for 35 years, he's been fighting a true existential threat every day for 35 years. But that's who Ms. Harris boycotted and snubbed when he came to speak to the joint sessions of Congress. Al, what would you say to the leader of England, Starmer, and the leader of Canada, Child Boy Trudeau, who say that they will take this, who I think is one of the greatest leaders, world leaders of all time, Bibi Netanyahu, that they say that they would arrest him because the ICC, as credible as they are, have a warrant for his arrest? Could you explain that to our audience, because they probably don't know much about any of that? Please explain it to them, Al.
Well, first of all, both of them are leftists to start with. Christian Trudeau, by the way, is now going to resign or going to be kicked down. He is finished completely. His legacy will be the same as that of Biden.
Yeah.
The same thing in England. The British people got rid of the Conservative Party and elected overwhelmingly the Labour Party, believing it's a better exchange. They made a huge mistake. Although it hasn't even been 1 year, the British people want the Labour Party to be removed. But they can't do that because they have the majority at the moment. Under Trump, all these movements, all the leftist movements are going to be dead. I'm telling you. Dead or dying. There's no question about it. The liberation movement is under Trump's point of view. He will support those who support America. He will destroy those who go against America. It's that simple. It's not complicated.
Yeah. And Al, is it fair to say that this man that has been so incredibly vilified, along with you and I and everybody else that supported him, the man that has been just absolutely decimated and propagandized, and people are suffering with this TDS syndrome. They're like foaming at the mouth. They still have their heads up their butts. Is it fair to say that he's he's not only going to save America, but this is the only chance we have of saving the entire world? Tell me if I'm going overboard with that statement, and say why I either am or I'm not. Go ahead.
I said it many times on JJ's, on his show. Trump is saving Western. Yeah. Trump is saving Western civilization. Literally, Western civilization. There's no question about it. By the way, Germany is falling apart. The government. Many of the Western European countries are falling down. The right movement, the movement of the rightist people, more nationalistic people, the more patriotic people are taking over. All of them are energized by Trump. Every single one of them. It's going to be an incredible 4 years. I'm telling you now. Incredible.
Al, is it fair to say that there are only three possible outcomes between the West and Islam? One being that Islam defeats the West. Two, the West defeats Islam. Three, Islam reforms. But they can't reform. Is that right, Al? That's the problem with that.
It's impossible to reform Islam. No. The Western mind cannot accept that another system of thought cannot reform. This is why they fail every time. America, Britain, Russia, they went into Afghanistan and they failed miserably every single time. And yet these were very powerful nations. The British Empire, when they conquered Afghanistan, was the strongest military power in history. And yet they were not able to subdue them. Because you cannot subdue Islam by fighting them. You destroy Islam by destroying Sharia. How do you destroy Sharia? For example, the Imam you were quoting, who was he addressing? Allah. He said, Allah do this, Allah do that. Why? Allah. In the translation of the Quran, every translator of the Quran, literally every translator except one or two, they translate Allah into God, associating Allah with the God of the Bible. But Allah is not the same as the God of the Bible. Allah has nothing to do with the God of Abraham, the God of Moses, and the God of Jesus. Yet that is exactly what they tell us He is.
You know, if we go back to 9/11, Al, and I asked, well, why did Bush essentially lie to us, saying that we have nothing to fear, they're our friends, and this and that? And the answer I got from one of my best sources that has some intelligence contacts is that, well, he didn't want to go against 1.5 billion Muslims. But Al, we would not have had to have gone against 1.5 billion Muslims. All we had to do is go against the radicals and destroy Sharia. I mean, didn't we have the opportunity at that point to not have to fight? We still don't have to fight 1.5 billion Muslims. But Al, please comment on that.
Okay. He was defending the Saudi government. Why? Because 14 of the 19 terrorists were Saudis. And most Americans, I'll tell you this now, 99.999% of them don't know this. Osama bin Laden purposefully used Saudis in a terrorist attack. Why? He wanted his own family to be overthrown. Osama bin Laden considered the fact that Saudi Arabia allowed 500,000 infidels to land in Saudi Arabia to defeat Saddam Hussein as unacceptable and un-Islamic. It may sound to people who are listening as ridiculous. It isn't ridiculous. We're dealing with the Islamic mind, not the Western mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Western mind keeps thinking the Western way, you will lose every single time like you are losing now. Okay? In the Islamic mind, nobody who is non-Muslim should have been allowed to land on the holy land of Saudi Arabia. It was a desecration as far as he was concerned. From his point of view, being a fundamentalist Muslim, it was a desecration. And he wanted to overthrow the government so that he can take it over. Okay? This is exactly why he used so many of them who were Saudis.
But the ultimate goal is still worldwide jihad and the one world country.
The ultimate goal is nothing. You cannot change the ultimate goal.
Explain that. Explain that to our folks.
What there is to explain? There's nothing to explain.
They don't know about it.
The whole purpose of Islam is to bring Sharia to dominate the whole of humanity. What is to explain?
They don't know that because it sounds unbelievable.
What do you mean they don't know that?
They don't.
Who doesn't know?
The American public.
Well, they must be very stupid.
Well, they've been kept stupid by choice and by the media.
No. You can't speak about stupid people today. At the click of a mouse, you Google Sharia, you get the answer.
So what Al is saying is the ultimate goal is a one world country under Sharia law. And they mean business. They're not just bearded fools climbing on monkey bars like we were led to believe immediately after 9/11. It's a hell of a lot more serious than that. And if you don't think so, call up some folks in Germany.
Something else I've got to explain to you.
Go ahead.
There are the Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims. Now, the Shia Muslims have the hidden Imam, the 12th Imam. It's called the hidden Imam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he is the Messiah of the Shia Muslims. For the Messiah of the Shia Muslims to come back and rule the world, there must be a world war. How the hell do you start a world war? Nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
This is why Iran wants nuclear weapons. It's not against Israel. It's against the humanity.
Yeah.
Israel is only the red herring. And everybody in the West falls for it, like idiots.
Right. It's not
It's a red herring.
It's the whole world. It's the whole world.
The objective is a world domination.
That's
Don't take my word for it.
Right. The
Listen,
Palestinian thing, it was just a spark to ignite the worldwide jihad. Al, I really want to move into this next thing if you don't mind.
okay, I don't mind. Go ahead.
Okay. And this is going to be, this is a real 180, folks. This is a real 180 from what we're talking about. And by the way, I hope I didn't get so loud with that individual at the mosque there at the Islamic Center that I couldn't be understood because I'm quite certain I raised my voice. I hope it's still audible at least. But in quite a different tone, I told Al, I said, one of the reasons I was anxious about today is because somewhere in this office is a rescue cat. I don't know where she is. She's hidden. She needed help. I couldn't turn it down. I said, well, take her to the vet and I'll get her. And I had to separate her from another rescue cat I have. And because I had an epiphany several weeks ago and look, I've had dogs. I've always loved animals, and I loved my dogs to the nth degree. But I never expected to bond so much with a cat. I never had. And Selena, gosh, I've written a song for her and everything. You'll hear it too. And something happened to me. And what struck me was that the love I had for this one delicate creature was so great that it made me have concern for all the rest of them. There are so many of them that are out there without owners, that are freezing this and that. They're under car hoods or whatever. Then you have that stinking Fauci, is like Joseph Mengele, what they're doing to 50 million animals a year in this country. The scientists don't need 50 million animals to experiment on and torture. And we've got to do something about it. And so I was in touch with, oddly enough, a congressman that defeated a personal friend of mine for office. I'm a personal friend of Joe Kaufman. I'm very proud to say that. And we need him in Congress because this guy's an expert on Islamism and all the terrorist groups. Joe Kaufman, he's got to get into Congress. But meanwhile, Jared Moskowitz, who I used to really dislike, you know why? Because he was very effective when he went on TV, so I would cringe. But he was very well spoken. But nonetheless, Jared Moskowitz has come up with two animal protection or animal rights bills. But we need to go a lot further. I want to go a lot further than that. And I've come up with an idea, and it's for all the groups, for the Humane Society, for all the groups. There are so many different animal groups and people that out of their own dime are like housing cats and doing this and that because they can't stand the thought of these souls, and they have souls. And if you fall in love with a cat or allow a cat to fall in love with you, you'll understand they most definitely have souls. And so I wanted to go a lot further than the two bills he has, and I came up with this idea, MACA, a MACA movement, not MAGA. Trump has got MAGA under control. Thank God for that. But MACA, M-A-C-A, a conscientious movement, a conscience movement, is something everyone can get behind. MACA, Make America Compassionate to Animals. Now, I'm going to try to get across to Jared Moskowitz that MACA is something that we can all agree on, right? I think that MACA, Make America Compassionate to Animals, is something we can all agree on, common ground, and I think it could help unite America. What do you think of that, Al?
Not bad idea. Honestly, not bad idea.
I mean, I
Compassion
know
towards
that's
animals.
very choppy for you, but go ahead. I want to know how did that strike you? Give me a reaction.
Look, if you have compassion to animals, you will have compassion to human beings. If you have no compassion to animals, you cannot possibly have compassion to human beings. It's that simple. It's not complicated.
I couldn't agree more. If you can't be compassionate to animals, then you can't be compassionate to people. But Al, many people aren't compassionate to animals, and I guess that's why people treat people so badly.
All right. That explains it. What more do you want?
All right, folks. I don't know what to tell you. I hope I didn't pin your ears back too badly. We've had a true expert on with us this afternoon, RassooIi. And let me show you his book one more time. No, that's not it. Well, let me just show you what this is of why we're where we're at. Okay. There was a protest years ago in front of the school at Hillsborough. That's the Tampa area, because CARE, Council of American Islamic Relations, wanted to have their director, Hassan Shibli, waltz around the high school there, the public high school, and speak to the students and talk on stage. They didn't get it that he was a propagandist. They didn't get it what Islam is truly all about. So we had a big protest there. We were confronted by these anti-American communists and socialists banging drums, getting in our faces, calling us haters. And the press, of course, who do you think they sympathized with? Us? Americans trying to protect America, or the scum that was trying to break the whole thing up. And look what the paper said. Anti-Muslim group and protesters face off. We were not an anti-Muslim group. We were a pro-American group trying to protect our students from the propaganda from the Council of American Islamic Relations, that's CARE, who basically, by the way, after October 7th, they came out and they applauded October 7th. So anybody that thinks that CARE is cutesy and like the ACLU of the Muslims in this country is really mistaken. And CARE, they need to be thrown out on their ass. You have a comment about that, Al?
I said that many times and nobody listened. Exactly the same thing. No, honestly, it's in public. It's in my articles. It's in my talk shows. CARE is literally a spy treasonous organization inside America.
And I would be remiss
they use lawfare to suppress anybody who wants to tell the truth about Islam.
I'm sorry, Al. I was just going to say that, and I would be remiss if our friend David Gobbets, who tried to explain that to people, he wrote this book, Muslim Mafia, and it was basically suppressed and censored, okay? And he explained years and years ago who CARE was, but nobody would listen. But now they don't have to hide it. They came out of the closet themselves, saying that they were basically okay with what happened October 7th. All right, Al RassooIi, you're the best. I know we're going to do this again very soon. I may even be on the air with you on Thursday. Is that a possibility?
Of course, no problem at all.
Okay, folks, on behalf of Al RassooIi, this is the Jiggy Jaguar Show. I'm Roger Homefield of the Joe Citizen Show, and we want to thank you for being with us. This is very important, heady stuff, and but folks, you got to believe it. It's happening. So if you've got kids, if you have grandkids, my goodness, it's time to stand up for them. You know, some people say, well, I don't care what happens. I won't be around then. I don't know how anybody can possibly be like that. But presuming that you're not like that, folks, we got to get off our duffs and protect America and just come up and speak out what the truth is. This is the Jiggy Jaguar Show. I'm Roger Homefield, sitting in for Jiggy Jaguar. Once again, thank you, Al RassooIi.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for being with us. I'll never stop spreading Sharia. The most dangerous sound I've ever heard. Sharia.